skill based.
I think if there's a way to tell like what attack is coming next, it's okay if it's RNG based on like which attack something's going to use. Like this happens a lot in the Binding of Isaac, for example, where bosses will like do something that, you know, lets you know what attack they're about to do. It's random which one they'll choose, but you can tell by how they act which one they're going to use, and you can prepare for it. I think
Honestly,
that's pretty fair.
That kind of RNG is okay to me.
But there are some attacks that are bullshit though. We're not completely free of bullshit here, but it's, for the most part, it's pretty good.
I'm not even sure if I pronounced that correctly, because it's like probably just a made up word, honestly. But let's see. I'll just type it in chat.
Those summon things from the FFX book. We're talking about again. Oh.
Yeah, that's what I was responding to. Oh yeah, it's Jushin. It's pronounced, well, it's spelled like this.
Oh, nice. Two's down, not nice.
Okay, yeah, it's Japanese. In fact, this is the Japanese character for how to spell it. But apparently they're a different kind of summoning than Aeons, according to the article. But if you ask me, it's probably just like the Japanese term for the Aeons, because
Ooh, tears up. That
I'm pretty sure that in Japan, the summons have never really had specific names for the Final Fantasy series. It's just like an American concept where they're either called Eidolons, Aeons, or a bunch of other things. They've had various names.
I mean, they would have to call it something.
I'm pretty sure that they're just called summon monsters in Japan.
Right.
They've never had a specific name, I'm pretty sure, from what I've learned. Because if there was more than one type of summon in Final Fantasy X, I think that the game would have at least elaborated on that. This article on the story seems to indicate that Jushin are a different kind of summon from Aeons, but I think that the person that wrote that article wasn't very well informed, because from what I've read on other articles, like on the Final Fantasy wiki, like I was reading the article on the summon monsters themselves, and it says that in Japan they're just known as summon monsters in Japan. They've never had a specific name.
Devil. Take it, I guess, even though I can't make use of it yet.
Because usually there's only been one kind of summon in every Final Fantasy game. There's never really been more than one kind of summon. And especially, like, I'm not willing to think that there is when the game leads no clues as to there being multiple.
If only I had Brimstone.
Oh yeah. Their Japanese name is literally translated as Phantom Beast, and they're called Genju. That's what it means though, Phantom Beast. That was their Japanese name. The Nintendo DS release of Final Fantasy IV coined the term Eidolons. Oh, and in Japan, Final Fantasy Type 0 called their summons war gods, or gunshin in Japanese. But America just calls them Eidolons. So they were just war gods in that game. So some Japanese games do give them different, like, titles, but they never really have a specific name. Like, Eidolon sounds like it's a race name, but they don't really have a race name in Japan. They're just either phantom beasts, summon monsters, or war gods. Nothing super specific, if that makes sense.
Magic Mush, please. Please. Oh, all you had to do was say please. Magic Mush, it's here.
In fact, here's what it says about it.
I don't know why I'm even pulling those up anymore. I got what I came for.
So they've only really had 3 terms in Japan: Phantom Beast, Summon Monster, Called for Beast. Actually 4, because there's also War God. So there you go. The more you know. I hope that was interesting trivia about the Final Fantasy series.
It's something I never thought of.
I tend to look up a lot about localization differences, because I like to know what was changed between releases. Because one thing I hate is censorship, and it leads to be the case that a lot of stuff gets censored from Japanese stuff because their culture is very different from ours, and what they see as...
give a fuck, which is great.
Yeah, they see things quite differently. They're
Sometimes I wish we saw things the same way on a lot of things.
Yeah.
Because we're just like freaked out about anything.
Yeah.
It's kind of dumb.
In fact, the oversensitivity of people seems to mostly derive from American culture, or just, you know, similar cultures to America. It's mostly like European regions, or, you know, anything similar. But Japan has a very different sort of outlook on things. Asian culture in general has a very different
look at those big balls now.
way of living. Because you see a lot of really weird things in Japan, like, all the time. People don't freak out just because they see a weird tentacle monster, or... It was an example. Or Godzilla, or even more messed up stuff. I mean, it's a pretty common thing in Japanese media that you'll have a lot of underage looking characters portrayed in sexual ways, and it's like, that's weird. I'm not saying that it's something
that is legitimately a little weird.
Yeah, it is very weird. I'm not saying that it's a good thing that this is the case. I'm just saying that at least they give less fucks about things than us. Like, they seem to be more okay with things that are weird than other cultures. There are, of course, negatives to that, because, let's be honest here, pedophilia is wrong.
Yeah. Hard to argue that.
But at the very least, I can respect a culture that is able to be open about their interests, regardless if it's right or wrong. One thing that really bugged me in terms of like censorship is like Ocarina of Time, the original N64 release, Ganon had red blood. But when they re-released the game and fixed some bugs, because there's multiple versions of Ocarina of Time, some have fixed glitches and whatnot, they changed his blood to green in one of the later
It's still like so weird
versions. It's like, I hate censorship. It's one thing that I'm
It's
absolutely
just silly
against.
that it makes it so much better just because it's green instead of red. Like,
The ESRB is
who
selling.
decided that that was better?
It's ridiculous too, because the ESRB seems to be really inconsistent. Like, their ratings seem arbitrary. Back in the 90s, you could get away with a game like Heart of Darkness, where the main character was a kid who literally was torn to shreds by shadow creatures, like every part of the game, and that was E-rated. Let me also point out that in that game there was a tribe of people that one of them
Back to
was
the
like
candle.
smoking a bong.
He's not human, so it must be okay to kill him. The violence is okay because he's not human.
Yeah, it makes him seem more like a monster, because all the monsters in Ocarina of Time have
It's just
green.
funny to me, like it's still violence.
Yeah, it's still violence. That's the thing that has always baffled me. You're still promoting violence in Zelda games. There are games where you're killing monsters. Doesn't matter if they're monsters, you're still killing something. Oh, but it's okay because it's a monster.
Oh, I guess I won't stab this guy then, because he won't have green blood. Thanks, Nintendo.
Also, I'll be right back.
Okay. I like a lot of red health at this point. I probably shouldn't even be taking it anymore, but I am. But I really want to be living on this Heart of Babylon damage, so yeah, I should probably stop taking the red health.